my pet zombie evolves into a stunning warrior. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 121. The head of the Zhang family looked at the ring with a serious expression. He originally thought that his daughter should have a great chance of winning against Ye Ling. But now, he has almost no confidence in his heart. Ye Ling's endless tricks made him worry whether his daughter was a match. I don't know where this little monster came from, but it's so strong. Xingnan's chance of winning is not great. He shook his head slightly. As a 6th-level spirit master, he naturally knew what the situation was like on the scene. Although it seemed that his daughter had a certain advantage, Ye Ling was stronger in terms of strength. Even Li Xingtian was easily defeated by Ye Ling. If he had seized a little chance, his daughter would undoubtedly lose. At this time, the confidant who was originally sent out by him finally rushed back. Head, this is the information you want. The confidant handed over the information he found. Well, wait for it first. After receiving the information, the head of the Zhang family couldn't wait to check it out. But when he read to the end, he suddenly found that his daughter and Ye Ling had no intersection at all. And this Ye Ling also rose to prominence during the assessment. Seeing this information, the head of the Zhang family was a little suspicious whether the information on it was false. But when he thought of the ability of his confidant, he felt that this was obviously unlikely. Then why Xingnan would pay so much attention to this Ye Ling? Is it a secret love? Or is there any other reason? When he thought of this, the head of the Zhang family looked a little strange, and the more he guessed, the more weird it became. Recalling his daughter's previous temper, he suddenly felt that it was unlikely. You know, his daughter has always been disdainful of all kinds of boys. And why is she paying so much attention to Ye Ling now? This is indeed a big problem. As for secret love, he felt that it was unlikely. If his daughter would have a secret love for a man, he, as a father, would be really happy, but he was afraid that it was not. He couldn't figure it out no matter how he thought about it, so he decided to ignore this matter for the time being, and wait until the assessment was over, and then ask his daughter in person. The battle on the ring became more and more intense. Zhang Xingnan, who was not convinced, made Storm Eagle use all the skills he could use. But even so, facing the 2nd-level spiritual shield controlled by Ye Ling, it did not have much effect. However, during this period, Ye Ling changed a spiritual shield. After all, even if it was a 2nd-level spiritual shield, it would not be able to withstand the bombardment. The previous cracks continued to expand, and later covered the entire shield, so he had to give up and release it again. The bombardment made the entire ring a mess. But it was also because of this that the Storm Eagle's physical strength was rapidly declining. Using a lot of skills will also consume a lot of physical strength. In addition, after several battles, the Storm Eagle's physical strength was only 1/10 of what it had. Just carrying Zhang Xingnan in the air, the Storm Eagle was now struggling. The hooked beak opened slightly, and the Storm Eagle seemed to be panting, and the speed of flapping its wings was getting slower and slower. Compared to the previous height, the Storm Eagle has now lowered a lot. And it was precisely because of the reluctance in her heart and the disgust for Ye Ling that Zhang Xingnan completely forgot to preserve the Storm Eagle's physical strength. This led to the current situation. Continuing this stalemate will only be more and more disadvantageous to Zhang Xingnan. She is too impatient. I don't know why she is so impatient when facing Ye Ling. Regarding Zhang Xingnan's previous operation, Hongxiao said that she didn't understand it. Knowing that there is no way to break the defense, she still chose to attack head-on, which is very unwise. Ling smiled. Who knows? Maybe there is something between the 2-inch. Of course she knew why Zhang Xingnan must be very uncomfortable with Ye Ling and Huxian getting so close, so the attack was so violent. Losing reason, compared with the previous battle, it was really too chaotic. He has already experienced several battles, and using such a large number of skills can only be said to be really chaotic. Feeling the altitude of the Storm Eagle, Zhang Xingnan finally came back to her senses, and her face became a little solemn. Just now, because of her dissatisfaction and disgust towards Ye Ling, she had consumed a lot of the Storm Eagle's physical strength. When she thought of her behavior just now, Zhang Xingnan couldn't help but pat her forehead in annoyance. She didn't expect that she would often be dominated by emotions and completely forget her purpose. The original intention was she wanted to teach Ye Ling a lesson, but she didn't expect that her pet would be the first to run out of energy. What should I do? What should I do now? Zhang Xingnan was a little panicked. She couldn't find a way to turn the tables. Facing Ye Ling's solid defense, her Storm Eagle was completely useless. If it dragged on, the Storm Eagle's energy would only get less and less. When the distance was enough, Zhang Xingnan believed that Ye Ling would definitely seize the first opportunity to attack. It seems that I can only use that trick. After trying every possible way she could think of, Zhang Xingnan finally found the only way that had a chance. This method could only be said to have a chance, but she couldn't say whether it could defeat Ye Ling. Episode 122. She also has a hidden trick that can kill with one strike. Storm Eagle has a skill that can burst out all its strength in an instant. However, this skill has a very big disadvantage. That is, after using this skill, Storm Eagle will almost lose its combat effectiveness. This skill does very high damage, but it is also the kind that hurts the enemy by 1000 and hurts itself by 800. If she can defeat Ye Ling, Zhang Xingnan doesn't think it's a big deal even if she uses this skill. But if she can't even defeat Ye Ling, it means that she will lose her combat effectiveness and will also lose the victory of the game. Gritting her teeth, Zhang Xingnan hesitated for a while, and suddenly made up her mind. Anyway, there is no better way now. It will be more disadvantageous to drag it on. If this trick is used, there may be a chance. It's useless now, and I'm afraid there will be no chance to use it later. Storm Eagle, it's up to you next. Gently stroking the feathers of Storm Eagle, Zhang Xingnan's expression was very firm. As if sensing Zhang Xingnan's mood and firm determination, the Storm Eagle nodded gently. It was as if he agreed with the decision made by Zhang Xingnan. Now, we are going all out. Storm Eagle. Wind Spirit, Sonic Bullet. The Storm Eagle hovering in the sky suddenly made a loud cry. Cry. A little bit of blue light appeared on his body, and these blue light points gathered in front of the Storm Eagle at a very fast speed. And these blue light came from the wind element in the Storm Eagle's body. Now, the Storm Eagle is extracting a large amount of wind elements in his body. This method will also cause the wind elements in the Storm Eagle's body and physical strength to be exhausted. That's why Zhang Xingnan said that after completing this attack, the Storm Eagle will lose its ability to move. These blue light points gradually gathered together and turned into a ball of blue energy. Ye Ling, who was on the ring, saw the strangeness of the Storm Eagle in the sky at this time. He had a guess in his heart that Zhang Xingnan was ready to fight with him for the last time. Moreover, it seemed that he was going to fight with him with all his strength. After using this skill, if Ye Ling could still stand on the ring, Zhang Xingnan would lose. Shuiyu seemed to sense a trace of danger, and decisively came to Ye Ling and grabbed his arm. As long as there was something wrong, she was ready to take Ye Ling away. Of course, Shuiyu was not worried about her own safety. She had powerful super speed regeneration and could recover quickly from injuries. But Ye Ling couldn't do that after all. He was immortal now. If he was hit by such an attack head-on, he might be seriously injured. Even if the body had been strengthened once, it could not withstand the frontal attack of the spirit pet. Ye Ling could clearly feel that Shuiyu was worried about his safety. However, he himself was not very worried. Once Zhang Xingnan used this move, she would lose, and Ye Ling only needed to hold on for a while. Although the second-level spiritual shield may not be able to block the full-strength attack of the Storm Eagle. However, one thing must not be forgotten, the spiritual power reserve in Ye Ling's body can support him to use the second-level spiritual shield many times now. Counting the consumption of the second-level spiritual chain and the first-level spiritual shield before, Ye Ling can still use the second-level spiritual skill several times now. Perhaps, a second-level spiritual shield is not enough to completely resist the Storm Eagle's ultimate move, but 2, 3, or even more. After all, the Storm Eagle is only a first-level spiritual pet, and the damage of a full-strength ultimate move is always very limited. Ye Ling is still very confident that he can take this attack. Not to mention a 100% success rate, but at least 90%. Go! A delicate cry came from the sky, accompanied by a loud cry. Screech! At this time, the blue energy composed of wind elements has been compressed into an energy bomb the size of a basketball. This is the Wind Spirit Sonic Bullet. Although it is only the size of a basketball, it is a compressed wind element. If it explodes, a large amount of wind elements will inevitably overflow. The characteristic of the wind element is that it has cutting power. A large amount of wind elements will explode and turn into tiny wind blades, madly cutting the target. Whoosh! Under the control of the Storm Eagle, the Wind Spirit Sonic Bullet rushed towards Ye Ling on the ground at an extremely fast speed. Its speed even reached the speed of sound. It only took a few seconds to hit Ye Ling on the ground after traveling such a short distance from the sky to the ground. Even Ye Ling did not expect that the speed of this Wind Spirit Sonic Bullet was so fast. The speed was so fast that it was difficult to catch even with the naked eye. When the Wind Spirit Sonic Bullet was about to hit the second-level spiritual shield in front of Ye Ling, a blood-red figure suddenly stood in front of Ye Ling. Who else could this figure be except Shuiyu? At the same time, Shuiyu pressed his arms against the second-level spiritual shield. Boom! The Wind Spirit Sonic Bullet came into contact with the second-level spiritual shield in an instant, and the moment it came into contact, the Wind Spirit Sonic Bullet exploded instantly. A large amount of wind elements quickly emerged from the place where it had just hit, turning into wind blades, cutting the second-level spiritual shield. Ding ding ding. A series of crisp sounds rang out, and even the second-level spiritual shield could not withstand such fast and frequent attacks. Episode 123. There was a gap before, so under this fierce attack, the gap on the spiritual shield became larger and larger. At the same time, the second-level spiritual shield shattered at a very fast speed, and the broken parts turned into blue spiritual power again and dissipated in the air. Shueo. Retreat. Spiritual shield. Looking at the gradually collapsing spiritual shield, Ye Ling immediately called Shueo to retreat, and at the same time used the second-level spiritual shield again. After receiving the order, Shueo quickly retreated a step. And at the moment she retreated, a new and complete spiritual shield appeared in front of her. The previously damaged spiritual shield was instantly pressed on this intact spiritual shield. Fortunately, the spiritual shield was still relatively large overall, so it almost blocked all the wind blades. Of course, there were also fish that slipped through the net, and there might be a wind blade passing by, leaving scars on Ye Ling. And soon, the first spiritual shield was completely destroyed. Under the violent cutting of the wind element, it completely turned into blue spiritual power and dissipated in the air. However, although the first spiritual power shield has disappeared, it has offset a lot of the power of the wind element's explosion. Compared with when it just exploded, the wind element has been weakened a lot. It is obvious that the wind spirit sonic bomb has been somewhat powerless. However, the second spiritual power shield on Ye Ling's side has been met again. Compared with the previous pressure, the current pressure is much smaller. The powerlessness has led to fewer and fewer wind blades. Although it has slowly broken a little spiritual power on the spiritual power shield, it is no longer enough to destroy the spiritual power shield. Due to the explosion of the wind spirit sonic bomb, a large amount of gravel and smoke on the ring was filled with the wind. Although there is the influence of the wind element, the smoke and dust are constantly dispersing around, and at the same time, new ones are being generated. After a while, the clanging sound gradually weakened. In the end, it was completely eliminated, and no sound was heard, as if the battle was over now. At this moment, the ring was under the spotlight, and everyone was waiting for the final answer. In the sky, the Storm Eagle's figure rose and fell, and it was obvious that it was already a little exhausted. Storm Eagle, go down, I know you have tried your best. Touching the feathers on the neck of the Storm Eagle, Zhang Xingnan said with some relief. Since she had already used all her strength, there was nothing to regret. Even if she lost, she would admit it. Win is win, lose is lose. Zhang Xingnan is not the kind of person who can't afford to lose. Hearing Zhang Xingnan's instructions, the Storm Eagle slowly descended this time and finally landed on the ring. When the Storm Eagle just landed, it was exhausted and couldn't stand steadily, and collapsed directly to the ground. If it weren't for the breathing sound, maybe people would think that the Storm Eagle was already cold. Come back, you've worked hard. Seeing the exhausted Storm Eagle, Zhang Xingnan's eyes flashed with a trace of pity, and she put the Storm Eagle back into the spirit pet seal. Then, Zhang Xingnan looked into the smoke, as if looking for Ye Ling's trace. Cough cough cough. Just then, a cough suddenly came from the smoke. Hearing this familiar voice, Zhang Xingnan's face suddenly changed, and Ye Ling's annoying face appeared in her mind. At this moment, she knew that she had lost. Finally, after a while, the smoke dissipated. The figures of Ye Ling and Shueyu appeared on the ring again and appeared in her field of vision. In front of Shueyu, there was a spiritual shield that was almost half damaged. And these damaged places were naturally caused by the wind blades that had just exploded. Although the wind spirit sonic bomb successfully broke through the first spiritual shield, it was a pity that it failed to break through the second one. But even if the second spiritual shield is broken, it will be useless, because Ye Ling will continue to use the third and fourth shields. There will always be a time when the wind blade can be completely offset. And Ye Ling's situation is not unscathed. There are scars on his body from the wind blades that have escaped the net. There are many cuts on his body. Although the cuts are not deep or large, there are many of them. The blood stained his clothes red. If it weren't for Ye Ling's body being strengthened once, the current situation might be worse. Although he could feel a little pain, Ye Ling knew that it was just a superficial injury. Compared to Ye Ling, Shueyu looked like nothing happened. The colorful blood-stained clothes on his body were still spotless and looked so gorgeous. It seems that I won this battle. Ye Ling looked like nothing happened. Like a human, Ye Ling took 2 steps forward, looking directly at Zhang Xingnan. When Zhang Xingnan took back the Storm Eagle, Ye Ling knew that she had won. Hearing this, Zhang Xingnan's face was full of helplessness. Her original intention was to teach Ye Ling a lesson, so that he would retreat when faced with difficulties and not get close to Huxianer again. Unexpectedly, she lost, and lost completely. Now, she knew that the opponent was stronger than her, and she had no spirit pet. If she didn't admit defeat, would she prepare for a melee? That's right, you won, I lost sincerely, you are the first. There was helplessness in her tone, but Zhang Xingnan still faced her failure very calmly. After speaking, she turned around and walked off the ring slowly. The referee returned to the ring again at this time and announced loudly that the fight was over. The battle is over, the second stage of the assessment is completely over, the first place is Ye Ling. The second place is Zhang Xingnan. Pa pa pa. Pa pa pa. As the referee announced the end of the battle, everyone in the stands clapped vigorously. Episode 124. Oh oh oh. Awesome. As expected of a dark horse. He won the first place. I'm afraid that at the beginning, no one would have thought that the first place this year would not be a member of the family. It has been so many years since it happened, someone can beat the members of the family, it's really amazing. That's right. Almost every year, the members of the family are the first. This time, it's like the sun is rising from the west. The reason why ordinary people are excited is that someone can beat the members of the family and stand out from all the outstanding students. This is simply a facelift for them. After all, such a thing has never happened in so many years. Now that it suddenly appeared, these ordinary people are naturally a little excited. As for the family of Tianhui City, there was not much reaction. They are not the kind of people who can't stand others rising. Although their own juniors did not win the first place, it can only be said that their juniors are still not mature enough, they are not to hate a junior. Moreover, Ye Ling is now the first in the second stage of the assessment, and is definitely the target of all the top-level Imperial Spirit Academies. If someone among them makes trouble at this time, I am afraid that these academy representatives will not let it go. In Tianhui City, their families are indeed very prestigious and powerful. But they are just a family in a remote city, and they dare not act rashly in the face of the top academy representatives from the Holy City. Show as much respect as you can, how dare you offend easily? Xingnan still lost, alas. It's nothing, it's enough. Although the head of the Zhang family still felt a little regretful that his daughter did not get the first place, he did not force it. In any case, the strength shown by his daughter before has entered the vision of various top academies. He believes that his daughter will also be fought over by various academies. And this is enough. As for the Hua family, the eccentric Hua Linger looked at Ye Ling, who won with surprise. She had thought that Zhang Xingnan would be able to defeat Ye Ling no matter what she said, but she didn't expect that it was completely beyond her expectations. This Ye Ling is indeed not simple, with good strength, and can be regarded as the leader of the younger generation. Hua Qingshan did not hesitate to praise him at all, and looked at Ye Ling with admiration. The more he looked at Ye Ling, the more satisfied he was. I don't know what he is thinking about. Hua Linger shrugged slightly and looked at her father helplessly. She knew what her father was thinking. He was just thinking about how to build a good relationship with Ye Ling. Although Ye Ling is only a first-level spirit master now, in the future, he may be able to reach a position far beyond the Hua family. Therefore, making friends with Ye Ling now is also within Hua Qingshan's thinking range. Pa pa pa. Even the representatives of the colleges, almost all of them applauded at this time. The strength shown by Ye Ling has even far exceeded their expectations. Even if Ye Ling is not a second-level spirit master now, the strength he has shown is at least invincible at the same level. Even if he encounters a second-level spirit master, he can still escape. With that second-level spirit skill, Ye Ling can completely crush almost all opponents of the same level. 3 teachers, the next is the critical moment. When the time comes, let's see which of us can get Ye Ling. While clapping, Hua Ling said with a smile. Hearing this, the other 3 teachers also nodded. As for the representatives of other colleges, they did not consider recruiting Ye Ling at all, because they knew that they could not compete with the top colleges, and even if they tried, they would not be able to get it. The next college recruitment link is really based on each person's ability. Of course, someone as powerful as Ye Ling can be offered other conditions, but other students do not have such treatment. As the battle ended, as the principal of Tianhui High School, Shang Lingkong naturally took the initiative to speak out at this time. This year's Ye Ling Academy assessment has come to an end. Let us congratulate Ye Ling for successfully winning the first place in the assessment. At this time, Shang Lingkong did not hesitate to praise him. He took the initiative to applaud Ye Ling first. As Shang Lingkong took the lead, the applause from the stands became more and more intense. He pressed his hands down slightly, and the applause from the stand suddenly quieted down. As I said before, getting the first place is a great honor. The students who have won the first place in the list will receive a special reward from me. Now, I will naturally fulfill my promise. The reward I give is 300,000 Federation points. Not only that, there is also a precious evolution material. As long as this material is in my collection, no matter what it is, Ye Ling can choose one of them. After Shang Lingkong finished speaking, thunderous applause broke out again. Pa pa pa. I'm so jealous. 300,000 Federation points. And a precious material to choose from. Don't think about it if you can't envy it. I've decided that no matter what, I will get a spirit pet like Ye Ling's, don't ask why it's LSP. Fuck. Is your focus a little different? Even Ye Ling was a little surprised, he never thought that Shang Lingkong would be so generous and give such a generous reward. Not to mention, 300,000 federal points, there are also various precious evolution materials he collected. Although there is only one kind, don't underestimate the value of precious evolution materials, some materials are even worth far more than 300,000 federal points. Next, Shang Lingkong said some nonsense, which was just a bunch of empty words of encouragement. Ye Ling was not interested in his words, the only thing he was interested in was the reward. Ding. Successfully defeated an opponent in the second stage assessment and gained a 10% increase in current experience value. Ding. Successfully won the first place in the assessment and gained the reward talent Rebirth. With this time, Ye Ling naturally looked at the effect of the Rebirth talent carefully. Talent Rebirth, 1 of 1, can be given to any host's pets with the Rebirth talent can automatically use this talent to rebirth when they are on the verge of death after rebirth. They can restore all the current strength of the pet. Rebirth requires all the experience value of the current level, it cannot be activated when the experience value is 0. The cooling time is 1 month. After reading the introduction of the Rebirth effect, Ye Ling's eyes lit up immediately. I can only say that it is very good and powerful. It is worthy of being a talent given by the system, this ability is so powerful that it is outrageous. Although the experience points accumulated at the current level will be cleared after rebirth, the current strength can be restored after rebirth. If you are fighting with the enemy and both sides are injured and destroyed by the enemy, and you are reborn with full status the next moment, the enemy will probably be very desperate. And as long as you have a little experience points, you can activate this talent, even if you consume experience points, you will not lose. Of course, it is not without some flaws. The only flaw is that the cooling time of rebirth is relatively long, a full month. But this is reasonable. If there is no cooling time limit for such a powerful and abnormal ability, then what can others do? Ye Ling did not take such a flaw to heart. If you want a motorcycle, what motorcycle do you want? A bicycle will do. However, Ye Ling did not use this talent immediately. Ye Ling did not intend to give the talent of rebirth to Shueyo. Because it is not necessary, Shueyo itself has super speed regeneration, which greatly guarantees his survival. It is precisely because of this that Ye Ling plans to leave this talent to his second spirit pet. It won't be long before he can break through to the second level. When that time comes, the second spirit pet can be contracted, and rebirth can be given to the second spirit pet to increase its survival ability. Although it is still unknown what the spirit pet given by the system is, the reward given by the system should not be too bad. After receiving the reward, Ye Ling turned his attention back to Shang Lingkong. At this time, Shang Lingkong's words were almost finished. Behind him, the representatives of the Yulingshi Academy all stood up. Next, it's an exciting moment. The Yulingshi Academy will select their favorite students from among you and enter their academy. If 2 academies choose you at the same time, you are lucky and can choose between the 2 academies. If there is only one, then you can only enter this academy. Well, without further ado, the selection of academy representatives begins, starting with the 4 top Yulingshi academies. After a brief explanation, the 4 top Yulingshi academies behind Shang Lingkong all came to him. Now, the big screen will show all the students selected by the 4 top-level Yulingshi academies. Shang Lingkong pointed to the big screen and said loudly. Upon hearing this, all the students and the audience were very nervous at this time, and their eyes were all on the big screen. Soon, the big screen showed the students selected by the 4 top-level Yulingshi academies. Some students were recruited by only 1 academy, some were recruited by 2, 3, or even 4. However, there was one situation: the first person selected by the 4 top-level Yulingshi academies was all one person's name. And the name of this person was naturally Ye Ling, who won the first place in the assessment. Before, Ye Ling had been favored by all the representatives, plus the final assessment results. Therefore, Ye Ling deservedly ranked first. Wow! The first choice of the 4 major colleges is Ye Ling. My brother is amazing. Doesn't Suzaku College never recruit boys? This situation. It's an exciting moment. Suzaku College actually recruits boys. It's the first time in history. Just think about it, don't dream. Ye Ling is just a special case. That's right, whether such a situation will happen in the future is completely unknown. For such a result, most of the audience were very excited. In the past, even if the first place was fought over, but unfortunately, they are all family members. But this time is different, it is an ordinary person who can't be more ordinary. Of course, ordinary is only for these audiences, only Ye Ling himself knows that he just has an extra system. Without this system, he would have been eliminated in the first stage of the assessment. Such a result is somewhat unexpected in the eyes of all the college representatives. As for why it is unexpected, of course it is because of Suzaku Yelingshi Academy. Suzaku Yelingshi Academy has never recruited boys, but this time it has made an exception. This is something that has never happened before. Throughout the establishment of Suzaku Yelingshi Academy, it has never recruited boys. And Ye Ling is really the first in the history of the Federation. This is simply a great honor. Do you still need to think about it? It must be Suzaku Yelingshi Academy? Even if I don't have any resources, I want to go. You? It's still daytime now, don't dream. Even if you stick to Yelingshi Academy, I'm afraid no one will want you, let alone Suzaku Yelingshi Academy. Episode 126. Except for Huisiener, almost all the top 10 students, including Ye Ling, are being fought over by the 4 Imperial Spirit Academies. This is also normal, after all, the top 10 are usually recruited, and there are only so many people, so of course there will be competition. The reason why Huisiener was not fought over is because she had already made a choice at the beginning. She was destined to join the Xuanwu Imperial Spirit Academy, so the other 3 Imperial Spirit Academies did not consider fighting for her at all. Fighting is meaningless, it is better to let her go directly. Zhang Xingnan got the 2nd place in the assessment, and she was a girl, so Suzaku Academy also joined the competition. However, it is a pity that Zhang Xingnan was only interested in which academy Huisiener was going to, so she directly joined the Xuanwu Imperial Spirit Academy. The other 3 teachers saw Zhang Xingnan joining the Xuanwu Academy on Huiling's side, and they were all jealous. Especially Hongxiu, there were only 2 girls in the top 10, and the rest were all boys. Now that these 2 girls have all run to Xuanwu Academy, how can Hongxiu not be jealous? But what's the use of being jealous? Even if she raises the conditions, she can't grab it. Compared with other teachers, Huiling was obviously smiling happily at this time. After all, she had already recruited 2 students at the beginning, one of whom was Zhang Xingnan, who was the 2nd in the assessment. Soon, the 9 students in the top 10, except Ye Ling, had chosen the colleges they wanted to join. Now, only Ye Ling was left, and he hadn't made a choice yet. At this moment, everyone seemed to be waiting to see what college Ye Ling would choose. Seeing Ye Ling motionless, Lu Feng took the lead and stood up and said loudly in the stands. Ye Ling, if you come to our Qinglong College, I can promise you resources that are 5% higher than ordinary students. At the same time, I can give you the opportunity to enter the secret realm 3 times a year. Hearing Lu Feng's words, all the audience were in an uproar. Originally, they were waiting for Ye Ling to make a decision, but they didn't expect that the representatives of the top colleges would add to the deal. No way. There is such an operation? This is only Ye Ling. Do the other top 10 have this treatment? Awesome, there are extra resources before entering the academy. Why is the gap between people so big? A life winner that makes people envious. The noise was noisy, and the crowd was talking, all surprised by the conditions that Lu Feng offered to recruit Ye Ling. Originally, they thought that Ye Ling would choose to join Qinglong Academy without hesitation. But it was Baitong from Baihu Academy who came, and Baitong suddenly stood up. Ye Ling, don't rush to choose, listen to the conditions I offer first. Ye Ling, as long as you come to our Baihu Academy, I can promise that the academy will give you 8% more resources than ordinary students. Not only that, you will be given 5 opportunities to enter the secret realm every year, and this condition will last until you graduate from the academy. Compared to Lu Feng, Baitong's conditions were even better, and he also promised that this condition would last until graduation. You have to know that after a few years of college life, these resources are really not small. Comparison is the thief. Is this the charm of the first place? Meng Yu, who was defeated by Ye Ling before, joined the White Tiger College. Hearing the conditions that Baitong gave to Ye Ling, he admitted that he was really jealous. They were both recruited by the White Tiger College. Why was Ye Ling so outstanding, while he was just an ordinary student? Thinking of this, Meng Yu's heart was full of bitterness. But this is the reality. Even if he felt jealous, it was useless. He had to accept what he should accept. Ye Ling, don't rush to decide, I haven't spoken yet. At this moment, a ethereal voice came from the college representative stand again. It turned out that the person who made the voice was Huiling from Xuanwu College. Ye Ling, don't rush to decide, I can also give you better conditions, as long as you come to our Xuanwu College. I can guarantee that the resources you get are 10% higher than other students. I also guarantee that you will have 5 opportunities to enter the secret realm every year, and these are the same as what Teacher Bai said, and they will be valid until you leave the college. What do you think? Do you want to come to our Xuanwu college? Sienna is in our college, don't you want to be in the same college with her? I don't know what Ye Ling is thinking, and she actually mentioned Sienna in public. Because Sienna, the person involved, is also a little confused at this time. How did I become a bargaining chip inexplicably? And the same person who joined Zhang Xingnan from Xuanwu College, after hearing this, was originally happy about being in the same college as Sienna, but her mood instantly disappeared without a trace. She immediately glared at Ye Ling, as if Zhang Xingnan was ready to eat him alive if Ye Ling dared to agree to this condition and join Xuanwu College. Seeing Zhang Xingnan like this, Ye Ling could only smile bitterly. If no one saw more favorable conditions, Ye Ling might really join Xuanwu College directly. Among the 4 colleges, the only one who did not speak was Hongxiu from Suzaku College. It seems that the other teachers have said almost everything, and I won't say much. Ye Ling, Suzaku College can give you 15% more resources than other students. At the same time, our college can relax the number of times you enter the secret realm to once a month, and these conditions can also be applied until you leave the college. Such a leapfrog improvement in conditions made the scene suddenly quiet down. Not only the audience who were watching the show, but even the representatives from the 3 major colleges were dumbfounded at this moment. Episode 127. Since there were only 2 girls in the top 10, one of them was reserved by Ye Ling. This resulted in only Ye Ling and Zhang Xingnan being left to choose from. If neither of them could be recruited, wouldn't it be a waste of time? So Hongxiu made a compromise and added a person's name to the recruitment list. This person was Ye. That's right, it was Ye who had fought against Ye Ling before and used the frost giant bear. When her name appeared on the big screen, she couldn't even believe it was true. She was inexplicably selected by Suzaku Academy, which was like a dream. This was mainly because Yunyi's strength was not weak, otherwise Hongxiu would not have chosen her. Originally, Yunyi thought that she might be the only one to join Suzaku Academy. Unexpectedly, Hongxiu actually offered such good conditions to Ye Ling. There was a strong envy in her eyes, but Yunyi did not have any jealousy. With such strength, if she also had such strength, she would definitely be the one that the major Ye Ling Envoy Academy would fight for. Ye Ling, as the party involved, had never expected the competition among the 4 top-level academies of the Imperial Spirit. He had never thought that Suzaku Academy would offer such good conditions. But this was normal, mainly because Suzaku Academy only recruited girls and never recruited boys. Therefore, the number of students in Suzaku Academy was the smallest among the 4 top-level academies of the Imperial Spirit. This also led to the fact that the resources in Suzaku Academy were relatively abundant compared to other top-level academies, so it was able to offer such good conditions to Ye Ling. The people in the stands had guessed that the 4 top-level academies would definitely increase their chips to recruit Ye Ling. The previous increase was already incredible in their eyes. But they had never thought that Suzaku Academy would actually spend so much money for a male student. The opportunity to enter the secret realm once a month, that is 12 times a year, far exceeding the conditions offered by other academies. Such recruitment conditions are simply appalling. Gulu. Is this true? Do you think I am dreaming? Silly, of course it is true. The representative of Suzaku Academy said it himself. How could it be false? Fuck. This is too much. Why is the gap so big? There is no comparison. It is so inhumane. I feel that other academies must be crying silently in their hearts. After a short silence, another round of very heated discussion sounded. It is no wonder that these people are so surprised, because the matter is indeed so. While everyone was discussing, there was still a person who was in a state of confusion. This person was Yunyi. Faced with such generous conditions, even the other 3 Imperial Spirit Academies were silent at this time. If possible, they would even be willing to use such conditions to recruit Ye Ling. But unfortunately, the 3 academies have a large number of people, and resources cannot be allocated in this way. Therefore, facing the conditions offered by Hongxiu, Ye Ling and the other 2 knew that they had already lost. There was no way they could not give more resources. Sienna, who originally thought that Ye Ling would most likely come to Xuanwu College, was very happy in her heart, but the smile on her face gradually disappeared. I didn't expect that Suzaku College would invest so much. She was full of helplessness, but Ye Ling had no choice. Because smart people know how to choose, it is obvious. If you don't know how to choose at this time, you are really a fool. At this moment, everyone's eyes are focused on Ye Ling, and they are all waiting to see what college Ye Ling will choose. Although everyone has a definite goal, it is hard to say what will happen if there is an accident. Under the attention of everyone, Ye Ling did not hesitate and came directly to the corresponding position of the college he chose. Welcome, Ye Ling. Seeing Ye Ling walking towards her, Yunyi smiled. That's right, just as everyone expected, Ye Ling chose Suzaku College. After all, Ye Ling's upgrade method is different from others. He only needs to defeat monsters continuously to gain experience points and level up. But it is different for others, their skills cannot be as abnormal as Ye Ling's. The 4 representative teachers on the stands, except Hongxiu, who was smiling, the other 3 were a little disappointed. It is normal, it is only because of their college that they cannot offer more favorable conditions. Moreover, even if there are more resources, the people in their college are reluctant to give them to a freshman. Envy. A boy. Reaching the pinnacle of the human world in an instant. Ah. I want to do that too. What are you dreaming about? Do you think you are Ye Ling? I feel so excited when I think that all the classmates in Ye Ling's academy are girls. It's not you who will go to the academy, why are you so excited? Most of the audience in the stands were very envious. Envy that Ye Ling could actually join the Suzaku Academy, not only that, but also such excellent admission conditions. What else can the other top 10 students say except envy in their hearts? They can't be so excellent, since they can't be so excellent, they are not qualified to discuss any conditions. After the top 10 and Yuni finished their selection, the remaining high-level Imperial Spirit Academy started another round of selection. The next is the Intermediate Imperial Spirit Academy, and finally, the low-level Imperial Spirit Academy Envoy Academy. Chen Ji, a good friend of Ye Ling, lost in the second round and joined the Intermediate Envoy Academy. After a while, the Envoy Academy had almost finished recruiting. After all the students had joined the Envoy Academy, Shang Lingkong stood up again. He scanned the students below with a sharp gaze, and heard Shang Lingkong say loudly. Remember that you are from Radiant High School, so don't embarrass us in the Envoy Academy, or I'll skin you alive when you come back. Episode 128. Anyway, after talking a lot, Shang Lingkong finally finished his long talk. Now, it was almost afternoon and the sun had already come out. In order to take today's assessment, most people didn't even have lunch at noon, and many people were already starving. Okay, I'll stop here at 8 o'clock tonight, you need to go to the East Gate at that time, you will follow the teachers of your respective academies and take the airship to leave Tianhui City and go to the academy. I hope you can do a lot in the academy above, my words end here dismissed, Ye Ling, come here. After saying this, Shang Lingkong turned and walked to the side. Now he didn't need to do anything here, everything had been handled, and as for the scene, someone would handle it. At this time, Ye Ling was suddenly called by name, and it was naturally Shang Lingkong who wanted to fulfill the reward he had mentioned before. He followed directly, and Ye Ling followed Shang Lingkong. All the time there were many guards around Shang Lingkong. Soon, the group came to a warehouse, where Shang Lingkong stored his personal belongings. All his collections were here, and there were many guards outside. Among them, there were many Imperial Spirit Masters. Okay, Ye Ling, congratulations on becoming the first place. You really didn't disappoint me. Here is the list of the collections in the warehouse, you can pick one from it. Oh, and this. Shang Lingkong took out a Federation card and handed it to Ye Ling. Here are 300,000 Federation points, which is also the reward I mentioned before, come on, and win glory for our Tianhui City in Suzaku Academy. Ye Ling nodded without hesitation and took the Federation card and the electronic list in Shang Lingkong's hand. After putting the Federation card away, Ye Ling carefully checked the collection materials on the electronic list. Since Shueyo has not completed its evolution, Ye Ling does not know what evolution material Shueyo needs in the next stage. Basically, he can only rely on blind guessing, but fortunately, Shueyo belongs to the spirit pet of the undead, which narrows the range a lot. After thinking for a long time, Ye Ling finally chose the material he liked. Immortal Bone. Ye Ling knew this material, it was a very high-level material. It came from a very powerful undead monster. Even if Shueyo didn't need it now, it might be useful in the future. Moreover, among these materials, Immortal Bone can be said to be the top one, and there is no better one. Seeing Ye Ling's choice, Shang Lingkong smiled and didn't say much. Since he had already agreed, he would not regret letting Ye Ling choose whatever he wanted. Okay, it's getting late, let's go back and pack up. Shang Lingkong didn't say anything more. Thank you, Lord City Lord, I'll leave first. After responding, Ye Ling turned around and left here. Looking at Ye Ling's gradually receding back, a person next to Shang Lingkong suddenly said. Lord City Lord, that's the top material, are you just going to give it to him? He was puzzled as to why Shang Lingkong did this. Investing in a student who had just joined the Imperial Spirit Academy might not pay off in the end. Shang Lingkong shook his head slightly and explained. It's no big deal, no one can use it anyway. In that case, it's not bad to give it to someone who has the hope of using it in the future. At least if he grows up in the future, he won't forget this. Hearing this, the people around him didn't say anything more. Now it's still a long time before 8 o'clock in the evening, and this time is for the students to pack their things. As for why they don't leave early tomorrow morning, there will obviously be more ferocious monsters in the wild at night. That's because Tianhui City is relatively remote and far away from various academies. Even if you take an airship, it will take at least 3 to 5 days. In order to get back to the academy as soon as possible, you need to set off early. Most of the students who should join the academy are still very reluctant to leave here. After all, this is where they have lived for so many years, how could they bear to leave suddenly? Some of them have to leave their homes and parents, so of course they are reluctant to leave. Ye Ling, on the other hand, is looking forward to leaving Radiant City. He has no attachments here, staying here or going to the Holy City has no big impact on him. Moreover, this place is remote, and it is obviously much more difficult to become stronger here. After Shang Lingkong left, the students also began to leave. Almost all of them were hungry, and now they are busy eating some things. Then go back and pack your bags, you will leave at night. After taking all the benefits, Ye Ling returned to the square. Old Yi, you are really worthy of you. You have really made a big splash, so many top colleges are fighting for you, it's really a great honor. At this time, Chen Ji came out from nowhere, put his hand on Ye Ling's shoulder, and spoke in a very excited tone. He never thought that his good brother and good friend could enter a top college. Although the two of them may hardly see each other again in the future, as a brother, he is sincerely happy for Ye Ling. Patting Chen Ji on the shoulder, Ye Ling comforted him. Old Chen, although it is only an intermediate college, don't be discouraged, develop well, and you will be able to become stronger in the future. It is not his place to intervene in what college to enter, but Ye Ling can intervene, so he is naturally willing to help Chen Ji. Waving his hand, Chen Ji didn't take it seriously and replied half-jokingly. Okay, it's no big deal, I know my own strength, intermediate college is enough for me. By the way, when you develop well in the future, don't forget me, your brother. I will come to find you when the time comes. Hearing this, Ye Ling smiled. Okay, of course, no problem, when the time comes, I will definitely take good care of you. Episode 129. While the two were chatting, Huixiner came behind them without knowing when. Ye Ling. Hearing the voice coming from behind, the two turned their heads at the same time and saw Huixiner, and not far behind her, Zhang Xingnan was standing with her arms folded. Humph. Anyway, Xianer and I will be in the same college in the future, and you will have no chance this time, I will let you talk. Zhang Xingnan was very excited, and her hostility towards Ye Ling was not so obvious. After all, they will belong to different colleges in the future, and the distance between them will not be so close. She believes that she has more advantages than Ye Ling. Seeing that Huixiner had something to say, Chen Ji did not intend to stay, he said something hurriedly and walked away directly. That you guys chat, I'll leave first, Lao Yi, see you later. Seeing Chen Ji's leaving back, Ye Ling shrugged helplessly and put his eyes back on Huixiner. Huixiner, just say what you want to say. Hearing this, Huixiner looked up at Ye Ling, gritted her teeth, and finally said only one sentence. Congratulations on achieving your goal and entering Suzaku College. Originally, she had a lot of things to say, but when she thought that Ye Ling was about to become the first male student in the history of Suzaku College, she felt very unhappy. After saying this inexplicable sentence, Huixiner also turned and left. And Zhang Xingnan, who was paying attention to Huixiner, immediately followed. Only Ye Ling, who was messy in the wind, was left, and he didn't understand what the sentence just now meant. Really, can't you just say it directly? Seeing the backs of Huixiner and Zhang Xingnan, Ye Ling didn't call her. Afterwards, Ye Ling left the school and went back to the direction of his home. After eating something hurriedly outside, Ye Ling returned home and began to pack up the things he needed. He had no nostalgia for the place where Ye Ling grew up. Although the memory of the previous life has been integrated, it is only a memory in the mind. Counting all the time, Ye Ling has been here for less than half a month at most. Therefore, he does not have a strong sense of belonging to this place. Leaving here is just the first step for Ye Ling to become stronger. Time passed quickly, the sunset gradually fell, and the night gradually fell. The clear moonlight spread throughout the radiant city. At the east gate, all the airships of the Ye Ling Academy gathered at this moment. At this time, the students who passed the assessment and entered different Ye Ling Academy were all here. And Ye Ling, of course, was also in this list. Since Ye Ling himself did not have much stuff, he packed it up a little and put it directly into the space ring. This time he left Radiant City, and it was not known when he would come back next time. If it was really unnecessary, Ye Ling might not return to this city again. This time, the city lord Shang Lingkong also came to see off these students. He didn't know how many times he had said goodbye, but every time he said goodbye to these students, he felt a little emotional. Once upon a time, he did the same thing and passed the assessment to enter the Imperial Spirit Academy. Okay, classmates, let's say goodbye from now on. You will represent Radiant City and go to various Imperial Spirit Academy. I hope you can bring honor to our Radiant City, work hard to practice, work hard to break through, and work hard to become a useful person to the Federation. Before leaving, Zhang Lingkong gave another emotional speech, and some students couldn't stop crying after listening to it. From today, they will leave their homes for a long time and go to an unknown place. There, they have no relatives except the academy, and they can only rely on themselves. From now on, they will also live independently and leave the warmth of their families. Compared with other students who were deeply moved, Ye Ling felt almost nothing. He just stood there silently, waiting for Zhang Lingkong to finish speaking. After a while, Zhang Lingkong knew that the time was almost up, and he said one last word. I hope you can go further, become stronger, and become a powerful spirit master. Okay, everyone. Get on the airship. As Zhang Lingkong finished speaking, it was finally time to say goodbye. Many students' families came to see their children off. Although they were reluctant, they all held back their tears. Ye Ling looked up at the airship of Suzaku Academy, which was red like fire, and there was a red Suzaku on the side of the airship. This Suzaku is also the symbol of Suzaku Academy. As long as you are a student of Suzaku Academy, you will get such a symbol after entering the academy. With such a symbol, it means that he is a student of Suzaku Academy. Similar to Suzaku Academy, the symbols of the other 3 Imperial Spirit Academies are naturally Azure Dragon, White Tiger, and Black Tortoise. The reason why these 4 Imperial Spirit Academies are named like this is not because someone has ever owned such a pet. But before the establishment of the 4 Imperial Spirit Academies, someone had witnessed the existence of the 4 spirits. The person who witnessed the 4 spirits was one of the founders of the current Federation. At the same time, it was he who initiated the establishment of the 4 Imperial Spirit Academies. From that time on, the 4 Imperial Spirit Academies were established and became the first Imperial Spirit Academies in the Federation. Later, more Imperial Spirit Academies gradually appeared. But even if more Imperial Spirit Academies appeared, they could not shake the position of the 4 Imperial Spirit Academies. Because they were the academies established by the original founders of the Federation, the 4 Imperial Spirit Academies have a lot of resources. They have cultivated a variety of talents and sent them to the Federation, which is something that other later Imperial Spirit Academies cannot compare to. Episode 130. Ye Ling was still full of curiosity about the upcoming life at Suzaku Academy. After all, although he could learn some information about the 4 major Imperial Spirit Academies through information, it was very limited. If he had not seen it in person, there would always be a big gap. Now Ye Ling only knew that Suzaku Academy was located in the south of the Holy City and covered a large area of nearly 15,000 acres. You can imagine how big this area is. Just one academy is almost as big as half of Radiant City. But this is normal, mainly because Radiant City is located in a remote area and its resources are not rich, so it is impossible to build it into a big city. Just one Suzaku Academy has such a large area, plus the Azure Dragon Academy in the east, the White Tiger Academy in the west, the Black Tortoise Academy in the north, and some other academies. It is hard to imagine how big the entire Holy City is. After a tearful farewell, it was finally time to leave. Compared with other Imperial Spirit Academies, Ye Ling's side can be said to have the least people, only him and Yunyi. Standing at the front, Hongshou looked at her side. There were only 2 students. She was not depressed. On the contrary, she was a little happy. Even if she didn't recruit Yunyi, but only recruited Ye Ling, she would not feel any sadness. Ye Ling alone was already equivalent to many talented students. The reason for recruiting Yunyi was mainly to avoid not recruiting any female students, which would be a bit embarrassing to say. It can be said that the reason why Yunyi was able to enter Suzaku Academy was purely because of good luck. The only 2 girls in the top 10 entered Xuanwu Academy. Hongshou had no choice but to accept Yunyi, a girl ranked after 10. Ye Ling, Yunyi, come with me, we're about to set off. After saying that, Hongshou walked in front and boarded the Suzaku Academy's airship. And Ye Ling and Yunyi, the 2 of them hurriedly followed. When they boarded the airship, they found that the airship was really big. The interior decoration also looks very beautiful, perhaps because all the students in Suzaku Academy are girls. The interior decoration is also feminine. Walking along the corridor inside the airship, they came to a row of rooms after a while. At this time, Hongshou suddenly stopped and turned to look at Ye Ling and Yunyi. Okay, these 2 rooms next to each other are where you 2 will live these days. The facilities inside are very complete and you can use everything with confidence. After saying that, Hongshou took out 2 cards and handed them to the 2. When Yunyi heard that this was actually a place to live, he couldn't wait to take the card and opened the door of the corresponding room according to the number on the card. After opening the door, what came into view was a clean and tidy room. Although it doesn't look big overall, it's pretty good to know that this is on the airship. Ye Ling also took the card from Hongxiu, but he didn't rush to open the door. Because he could tell that Hongxiu must have something to say, and the room was there and she wouldn't run away, so he was not in a hurry at all. Yuni, don't rush into the room yet, come on, I'll take you to see the dining area and various places on the airship. Seeing that Ye Ling was not in a hurry to go to the room, Hongxiu nodded with satisfaction and said to Yuni, who was about to enter the room. This is because Hongxiu's temper is really good. If it were a teacher with a bad temper, Yuni might be scolded. The teacher hasn't finished speaking yet, so why should she be in a hurry? Hearing Hongxiu's voice, Yuni remembered that the teacher was still beside her, and she was just curious and couldn't wait to take a look. Although she had ridden an airship before and lived in a room on an airship, she had never seen this kind of college-style airship, so of course she was curious. Touching her hair, Yuni felt a little embarrassed and quickly closed the door. She quickly retreated and stood beside Ye Ling in a coquettish manner. Okay, let's go this way. Not far ahead is the dining area. After a certain time, a variety of meals will be served. But pay attention to the time. After a period of time, all the meals will be removed. After Hongxiu's explanation, Ye Ling and his friends finally arrived at the restaurant. It looked very clean and tidy, and there was not even a trace of oil stain. After that, Hongxiu took Ye Ling and Yuni to walk around the airship, and they basically understood everything. At this time, the time was almost up, and the airship slowly vibrated. Of course, it was not just the airship of Suzaku Academy, but all the airships of the academies, which were all shaking. One by one, the airships began to slowly rise into the air at the east gate of Tianhui City. Those who came to see them off waved their hands vigorously and said goodbye to the people on the airship. No one knew how many people would be able to return home in glory and how many would be buried in a foreign land after leaving this time. Son. Come on. We are waiting for you to come back here. Take care. Be sure to pay attention to safety. Everyone below was shouting loudly, saying goodbye to the children on the airship. Back to the interior of the Suzaku Academy's airship. Hongxiu took Ye Ling and Yuni back to the previous room. We have already taken off, and it is getting late. After so many people fighting today, I think you are already very sleepy. Have a good rest when you go back. Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, after breakfast, come to the training room to find me. I will tell you about the relevant matters of Suzaku Academy. By the way, my room is the one on the outside. If you have anything, you can come to me, of course. If it is not a big deal, don't come. You can talk about it tomorrow. Good night. After saying that, Hongxiu turned around and walked towards her own room. Only Ye Ling and Yuni were left standing there. At this time, Yuni turned around and looked at Ye Ling happily. Ye Ling, to be honest, this time it is really thanks to you. If it weren't for you, I might not be able to enter Suzaku Academy. Episode 131. Before, Yuni thought that she could enter the Advanced Spirit Master Academy at most, but she never expected that she would get such a surprise. She was actually admitted to Suzaku Academy. If this wasn't a surprise, what could it be? She was even a little confused. Even Yunyi's father, the head of the Yun family, was surprised. Neither the father nor the daughter thought that Yuni would be admitted to Suzaku Academy. But after a little analysis, I understood why. There were too few girls in the top 10, and Hongxiu might not be able to recruit them, so Yuni was chosen as a second choice. The main reason was that Yunyi's own strength was not weak, otherwise, Hongxiu would not have been able to admit her. But Hongxiu thought more about it. That was because of Ye Ling. Suzaku Academy recruited a male student for the first time. If there were no other female students, it would not sound good to say it out. Huasiener and Xuanwu College have already been tied together, and it has not yet been determined which college Zhang Xingnan will join. Therefore, in order to avoid the embarrassment of not having female students, Hongxiu added an extra admitted student, Yuni. This is also why Yuni suddenly wanted to thank Ye Ling. Hearing this, Ye Ling thought about it and understood why. However, this has nothing to do with me, it's just a coincidence. Shaking his head slightly, Ye Ling did not take the blame on himself. No need to thank me, this is what you deserve. Your strength is not weak. If it weren't for meeting me, I'm afraid you would definitely have a place in the top 10. This is not Ye Ling praising Yuni, but the fact is so. If it weren't for meeting me, Yunyi's strength would have a chance to enter the top 10. It's just because of bad luck that she met me. Except for Suzaku College, many of the following advanced colleges are almost all filled in with Yunyi's name. If it weren't for Hongxiu's interference, Yuni might have joined a high-level Spirit Master Academy. Therefore, it can be seen that Yunyi's strength is indeed not weak. Then good night, go to bed early. Yuni, who has always been in a very good mood, waved to Ye Ling and said good night. Yeah, good night. Ye Ling nodded. Then, Yuni smiled knowingly and jumped towards her room. Beep. The door opened, Yuni couldn't wait to walk in, and then carefully closed the door. Ye Ling was the only one left here, took out the card given by Hongshou before, and came to the front of the room. Beep. He opened the door with the card and walked in, and closed the door casually. This clean and tidy but not big room, Ye Ling did not dislike it at all. The main reason was that the room he used to live in Tianhui City was also not big. Moreover, this is on the airship, so the room can't be too big. With such treatment, Ye Ling doesn't ask for anything. In fact, what Ye Ling didn't know is that only the higher-level colleges have such complete facilities on the airship. At the same time, only the higher-level colleges can provide one room for one student on the airship. As for the lower-level colleges, they don't have this treatment, and it's impossible for one person to have one room. In the case of a large number of people, 2 or even 3 people need to live in one room. So compared with those students, Ye Ling's treatment of one person per room is really much better. All the airships flew to the sky outside Tianhui City at this time. Among these colleges, only the 4 top colleges need to fly to the Holy City. The other Ye Ling envoy colleges are almost all colleges from big cities, so the direction they fly to is naturally not the Holy City. Among the colleges in the entire Federation, only the 4 top colleges can recruit in various city colleges within the Federation territory. Except for the 4 top colleges, the recruitment scopes of other colleges are fixed in areas. Which colleges will be arranged to recruit in which cities. Most of the airships returned in all directions, including the airship where Qinji was. The airships of the 4 top colleges naturally returned directly to the Holy City. The blue energy similar to spiritual power gushed out from the jet at the tail, emitting great propulsion. Under this huge propulsion, the 4 large airships set off at a very fast speed. They turned into streams of light, disappeared in the night, and disappeared in the sky. The sky returned to its previous appearance again, but Radiant City has changed. Many young people have left, and many parents who have left their children are very disappointed. It is impossible not to feel sad when your own children suddenly leave. I am afraid that it will take a long time to adapt to this feeling. The endless night sky is dotted with stars, and the stars are twinkling. It looks like a very beautiful night scene. However, don't think that this is really a beautiful night scene when sailing at night. The most worrying thing is to encounter dangerous and manic monsters. Although there are fewer flying monsters, and this path has been cleaned regularly, you still can't be careless. If the airship is destroyed accidentally, it is very likely that you will be directly explained outside the wilderness. Episode 132. In the wilderness outside the city, the most dangerous time is often at night. Monsters at night are more violent and more aggressive. Fortunately, the routes of the airships are fixed and cleared. At most, there are some low-level monsters, and there are no high-level monsters. Generally, high-level monsters have their own territorial awareness. If nothing unexpected happens, they will not wander around outside. All the college airships have left Radiant City, but at the same time, someone in Radiant City also disappeared soon after. In the Lu family compound, all the servants searched all over the compound, but they couldn't find Lu Wu, who had been abolished as the young master. What? Haven't you found anyone yet? What do you do for a living? Are you raised to eat dry food? Ah. The head of the family, Lu Yun, sat in the main seat, frowning, and loudly questioned the servants in front of him. That's right, suddenly, Lu Wu, who was originally confined at home, disappeared. There was no sign, no one noticed. Although he was very strict with his son, he was his only son after all. Therefore, he was still very concerned about Lu Wu's safety. Even though his son was no longer the young master, he did not abandon his son. Master, we young master. The servant knelt on the ground in a hurry when the master asked him this question. He stammered and could not say a complete sentence. Now Lu Wu was no longer the young master at most, he could only be called the young master. At least he was still the son of Lu Yun, the master. Seeing the stammering servant, Lu Yun was immediately furious and scolded him coldly. A bunch of good-for-nothings. You can't do anything I ask you to do. Keep looking. If you can't find him, don't go to sleep. If it weren't for the fact that he needed help to find Lu Wu, he would probably be rude to the servant now. Yes. After answering, the servant hurriedly got up and left. Looking coldly at the servants hurriedly leaving back, Lu Yun had no place to vent his anger. Crash! He threw a cup next to him to the ground fiercely, and his heart was full of anger. If it weren't for the other elders in the family, I'm afraid his son would still be the young master. He wouldn't have disappeared suddenly and inexplicably like now. When he thought of those elders, Lu Yun was very angry, but he could do nothing about it. Although he was the head of the family, he was only the leader of the family, which did not mean that he could decide everything in the family. The one who could really decide all the affairs of the family was actually the elders' council. After all, these elders were all smart people. How could they let Lu Yun be a dictator? Don't even think about it. Once Lu Yun has enough power to be a dictator in the family, I'm afraid the first target will be these elders. There are many things that these elders usually restrict Lu Yun in every way, and they also forced Lu Yun to abolish his son's position. All these things have already represented that the contradictions in the Lu family are gradually becoming white-hot. If they were all doing small tricks in secret before, now they are likely to be exposed. Although he was very angry, Lu Yun was more worried about his son's safety. After all, he was the only one, and if he was not careful, he might not even have any. This is why Lu Yun is so anxious now. At this time, outside the radiant city, on a mountaintop far away from the brightly lit city, Lu Wu, wearing a black robe, looked at the city quietly. Unlike before, Lu Wu's eyes were full of coldness at this time, as if he was full of hatred for this kind of city. Ha 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 ha. What do you think? Haven't you seen enough? If you have, it's time to go, we are still far away. At this time, a sinister laugh suddenly sounded behind him. If it were an ordinary person, he would probably be frightened by this somewhat cold voice, but Lu Wu's face did not change at all. A black shadow appeared behind Lu Wu, except for a pair of eyes. It was impossible to see what he looked like. Even if he was a human or a ghost, there was no way to distinguish. I haven't seen enough. I will remember it deeply in my mind one day. I will come back, and then I will destroy this place. Lu Wu's eyes showed strong hatred. He hated this city and his family, hated his father. Similarly, he hated another person. That person was Ye Ling. When Lu Wu thought of Ye Ling, who ranked first in the assessment, he was so angry that he trembled all over. Okay, there is no need to worry so much, just follow me, you will get everything you want, you can become stronger then, come back for revenge on all the people you hate. The dark shadow looked at Lu Wu, whose eyes were full of hatred, and the cold voice sounded again. Hearing this, Lu Wu looked back at the shadow beside him, and did not say much, but nodded silently. Then, one person and one shadow turned around and walked to the other side of the mountain. And this direction is the direction of leaving the Federation. As for where Lu Wu and this shadow are going, no one knows, and no one sees it at all. Episode 133. In the night sky above the wilderness, streaks of light streaked across the sky. It was the airships of the 4 top colleges, shuttling quickly in the sky. On the Suzaku College airship, Ye Ling was in his own room after washing up. He lay on the not-too-wide bed. With a somersault, Ye Ling turned over and sat up. When he completed the task before, there was a reward, but Ye Ling had not received it until now. This reward was naturally the reward for the top 3, an unknown flying pet egg. Because he was busy with the last game before, and he was busy packing up after the game, Ye Ling had no chance to receive it. Now that time was just free, Ye Ling directly chose to receive the task reward. A faint red glow flashed, and a fiery red pet egg suddenly appeared in Ye Ling's hand. This fiery red pet egg was different from ordinary pet eggs. There were golden lines on it, which seemed to symbolize its extraordinariness. At the same time, on one side of the spirit pet egg, there is a deep red wing logo. It seems to imply that this spirit pet egg is a flying spirit pet egg. In addition, the only special thing is that Ye Ling can feel that the spirit pet egg in his hand is emitting a scorching temperature. Of course, Ye Ling just felt a little hot, not enough to burn his hand. Although he didn't know what was in this spirit pet egg, Ye Ling could also have a general guess. One thing is certain, at least it is a flying spirit pet of the fire attribute category, but there are many spirit pets of this category. Ye Ling couldn't guess what it was for the time being. Suddenly, Ye Ling paused, and the whole person was slightly stunned, a little dazed for a while. In his mind, a picture suddenly flashed. A pair of huge fiery red wings that could cover the sky and the sun suddenly appeared in his mind. This sudden scene also scared Ye Ling. However, Ye Ling, who had come to his senses, quickly calmed down. Looking at the fiery red spirit pet egg in his hand with some surprise, he could feel that the spirit pet egg in his hand was very extraordinary. No, it should be said that it was very powerful. It's almost there, it won't take long to make a contract, just wait a little longer. Gently stroking the spirit pet egg, Ye Ling whispered. What Ye Ling didn't know was that the temperature of the surface of the spirit pet egg was far more than what he touched. It was only because this was the spirit pet egg rewarded to Ye Ling by the system, so it was equivalent to binding Ye Ling, the host, so that he would not be burned. If it was someone else, once they rashly touched this spirit pet egg, they would definitely suffer. Touching the spirit pet egg with your hand would at least get burned. Only Ye Ling could touch the spirit pet egg so casually, others couldn't. After a long while, Ye Ling put the spirit pet egg into the space ring. In any case, such a spirit pet egg looks very extraordinary. Therefore, it is best not to expose it as much as possible, so as not to arouse jealousy and cause trouble. Before the contract is signed, if it is seen by others, it may cause a fight. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, Ye Ling must hide it well. After putting away the spirit pet egg, Ye Ling opened the attribute panel that he had not checked for a long time. Host, Ye Ling. Level 10. Spiritual power, 1258/3500. Spirit skills, Spirit chain, level 2, Spirit shield, level 2, Spirit vision, level 1. Spirit pet, Shueyo. Free points, 2. Then, Ye Ling opened Shueyo's attribute panel again. Name, Shueyo, white-eyed zombie. Attribute, undead. Level 10, experience value 594%. Growth power, normal. Growth rate, 787%. Equipment, Shueyo's exclusive colorful blood-stained clothing. Talent, physical damage reduction, intermediate, magic damage reduction, intermediate, blood mist, super speed regeneration. Skills, bloodthirst, blood madness. Evolution conditions not met. After this test, Ye Ling believes that he will soon be able to break through the second level. At that time, not only can he turn on automatic pickup and obtain a mysterious item, but he can also contract a second pet. Although he still doesn't know what kind of pet is in the pet egg, the previous scene has been in Ye Ling's mind for a long time. There is no doubt that it is definitely a very powerful pet. At the same time, Shueyo's growth rate is already very high, otherwise how long will it take to open the next level, stage of evolution? The materials for evolution are now ready, the only thing missing is the growth rate of Shueyo. Everything is currently moving in a good direction. Ye Ling is also looking forward to the holy city that will arrive in a few days. In the past, I could only learn about the prosperity of the Federation Holy City through the internet. It is far from being comparable to the small radiant city. No young person is not full of yearning for the Holy City, after all, it is the center of the Federation and the most important place in the Federation. With curiosity in his heart, Ye Ling lay on the bed and soon fell asleep. After a long battle during the day, his body was already exhausted. When the whole person relaxed, he naturally felt very tired and fell asleep directly on the pillow. Episode 134. Time passed gradually, the night became darker, the airship had been operating without stopping, and it was already late at night. At this time, the airships of the 4 top colleges had completely entered the wilderness area. In the wilderness area, there are no cities, which naturally means that there are many dangers. It is even possible that if you are not careful, you may die here forever. Of course, this is only for ordinary people. For the powerful Yelingshi, there is not much threat on this route. The paths of all flight routes are all arranged, calculated with high precision, and after eliminating a large number of threats. Under normal circumstances, there is basically no danger when the airship is driving, but of course special circumstances are not excluded. In the cockpit of the Suzaku Academy airship, the corresponding staff are working hard. Due to the special nature of the academy, the staff on the Suzaku airship are all women. Ah. So boring, I have to stay like this for a few days again. Staff A stretched out of boredom and sat on the chair, feeling quite helpless. This long flight is very boring, especially for staff like them. You can't slack off and need to be alert at all times to prevent unexpected situations. Every time they conduct this kind of college assessment, they need to fly the airship for a few days, although they can take shifts in the middle. Such a life is extremely boring. Unfortunately, there is no way they are just ordinary people, not spirit masters. Their work is not low in the holy city among ordinary people, it can even be considered very high. Even if the work process is boring, it can be endured. After all, compared with other ordinary people's work, working on the airship is something that many people want to get in. Staff member B on the side smiled. Don't complain, what's the point of complaining? You still have to continue working, this time you go back, you should be able to rest for a while. Usually, as long as they don't need to use the airship, they only need to work in the college, which is relatively easy. Seeing the 2 people still chatting around, staff member C reminded them in a low voice. Stop chatting, it's working time now, if the boss sees you, I'm afraid you'll get scolded again. Each airship has a person who controls the airship, which is what they call the boss. This so-called boss is not an ordinary person, but a powerful Ye Ling envoy. This is also to avoid encountering monsters and ensure the safety of navigation. After hearing this, Staff A and B immediately shut up and dared not say anything more. Tick tick tick. At this time a crisp sound came, and all the staff present were all focused and sat up straight. Because they knew who was coming. Yes, the one who came was their boss, and the manager of the airship at this time, Li Yuehai. Soon, a middle-aged woman in black clothes and with an indifferent face walked in. She is Li Yuhai, who is also the manager of this airship and a powerful Ye Ling envoy with a strength of level 7 and level 5. Even compared to Hongxiu, her strength is still not weak. She didn't know how many times she had flown this route, and she was used to it. Looking at the dark night outside the window, Li Yuhai didn't know why. This time she felt a vague sense of uneasiness. This feeling made her very uncomfortable, although she didn't think her feeling was necessarily right. But this feeling lingered for a long time, making her even sleep poorly. It couldn't be so late, and she wouldn't suddenly run to the control room. Is there anything unusual? Standing on the control console with her arms folded, Li Yuhai's somewhat cold voice echoed in the control room. This made the staff, who were originally a little bored and even sleepy, immediately wake up. No. XN. Everyone answered in unison. It sounded very energetic, and no one was slack at all. Only in front of their boss, they didn't dare to make any other moves. If they were not careful, they would be severely scolded, and maybe even given a physical training. Almost all the staff had experienced that kind of pain. Therefore, no one dared to annoy Li Yuhai now. Well, continue working. Li Yuhai nodded and stopped worrying about the uneasy problem in his heart. Beep beep. At this moment, an alarm suddenly sounded. Li Yuhai, who was about to leave, suddenly stopped. Li Yuhai turned his head suddenly and looked at the staff at the control console, frowning. What's the situation? Boss, there seems to be a monster on the flight route ahead. The individual energy is not strong, but there are so many that it is impossible to count them. The staff conducting observations immediately reported what they found. A large number? Are they flying monsters living in groups? Li Yuhai frowned and muttered to himself. Episode 135. Seeing that Li Yuhai seemed to have no intention of giving instructions, the observer said anxiously. Boss, in another 30 seconds, we will meet those monsters. Even if the monsters are not powerful, they can still harm the airship if there are many of them. In this case, it is necessary for the Imperial Spirit to go outside the airship to drive away the monsters approaching the airship. Hearing the observer's voice again, Li Yuhai came back to her senses. Just now, she was just thinking about Hongxiu's previous instructions: if they encounter monsters, let the students experience it. So, Li Yuhai made a decision immediately and said in a deep voice. Okay, now notify all the Imperial spirits on the airship immediately to go to the elevator and drive away the incoming monsters. Understood. And all the Imperial spirits she mentioned naturally include Ye Ling and Yuni, who have just become students of Suzaku Academy. As for the safety of students, Li Yuhai is not worried at all. With Hongxiu and her, the students will not be in any major threat. This time, for the students, it was also a rare test. There were many monsters, but the individual monsters were not strong. After entering Suzaku Academy, it would not be so easy to fight such a battle again. Woo woo woo. Suddenly, the bell inside the Suzaku Academy airship rang loudly, waking up all the people who were still sleeping. Please, all the Yulings in the airship, all go to the elevator for emergency assembly. Repeat, please, all the Yulings in the airship, all go to the elevator for emergency assembly. Ye Ling, who was still sleeping, was also awakened by the sudden alarm. Rubbing his sleepy eyes, Ye Ling came to the door, opened the door, and walked out. He happened to meet Yuni, who had just opened the door. Ye Ling, what is going on? Yuni also looked confused, and didn't understand what was going on at all. This is also normal, it's the first time to encounter such a situation, of course it's very confusing. Not only her, Ye Ling was not much better. However, Ye Ling was much calmer. I don't know either, but something must have happened. Now all the Imperial Spirit Masters are required to gather in the elevator cabin. Since it is all the Imperial Spirit Masters, it must include the two of us. Let's go to the elevator cabin first. After that, Ye Ling walked out and closed the door. Then, the two of them went to the elevator cabin together. Because Hongxiu had already familiarized the two of them with the entire airship before. Therefore, they still remembered clearly where the elevator cabin was. When the two of them came to the elevator cabin, they just saw Li Yuhai and Hongxiu, and there were two other Imperial Spirit Masters accompanying them. On the entire airship, except for the two students Ye Ling and Yuni, there were only 4 Imperial Spirit Masters. However, don't underestimate them just because of this. The strength of these 4 is not low, 2 are level 7, and 2 are level 5. No matter what, they are a strong force. The main reason is that Radiant City is located in a remote area, and it can be said that it is on the edge of the Federation. Therefore, the 4 top colleges will not arrange too many teachers to come here to recruit students, because there is no need. Just like Suzaku College, this time only 2 students, Ye Ling and Yuni, were recruited. The other 3 colleges are similar, with 3 or 4 at most, and they are not much better. In this case, it is impossible to arrange too many teachers to come to Radiant City, which is a complete waste of the teaching staff of Suzaku College. Teacher Hong, what is the situation now? After arriving at the elevator cabin, Yuni asked Hongshou impatiently. As for Ye Ling, he also looked at Hongshou with curiosity, waiting for her answer. Hearing this, Hongshou smiled very easily. Nothing, just encountered flying monsters, they are not very strong, so I hope you can go up with us and drive these monsters away. For you, this is a rare experience, the experience of fighting in the wild is very rare. It has been said that these are some low-level monsters, even if Ye Ling and Yuni are not there, it is just a piece of cake for them. However, in order to be able to train Ye Ling and Yuni, they were specially called up. Flying monsters? Ye Ling was a little speechless, he didn't expect his luck to be so bad, he actually encountered flying monsters at this time. At the same time, he was a little excited in his heart, he really wanted to find monsters to fight. Because only fighting can gain experience points, and only fighting can improve growth, how many such battles come, how many Ye Ling can take less? Maybe before returning to Suzaku Academy, Ye Ling will have a chance to break through to the 2nd level, and Shueyu may even have a chance to evolve to the next level. Okay. No problem, thank you Teacher Hong for giving us this opportunity to practice. Yoni was not afraid at all, and even a little eager to try. They were all said to be some weak low-level monsters, and there was a strong teacher around, so Yoni was unwilling to let go of such a good opportunity to practice fighting. The previous battle with Ye Ling made Yoni realize that she still had many shortcomings. Therefore, she has always been eager to make a breakthrough and become stronger. Not to mention surpassing Ye Ling, at least she had to surpass her former self and narrow the gap between her and Ye Ling.